Welcome to the Write Your Own Story podcast. I'm your host, Betsy Leonidas, and the founder of the Write Your Own Story company. Girl, I can tell you right now, you are definitely enough. Here we value service, sisterhood, connection, laughter, and that super genuine, keep it real, tell you like it is honesty. My hope is at the end of each episode, you realize you can do whatever it is you dream about and that you are not alone with what you struggle with. I'm hoping that you are snapping and clapping and hell yes in your way through each one of these episodes. So if this tracks with you, let's get started. I'm so glad you're here.
Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to talk about the elusive, mysterious, super frustrating, everybody's going through it, perimenopause. Whenever I poll on Instagram, what do you guys want me to do an episode about? It is always perimenopause. And then when I say, okay, what specific questions do you have? Everyone always says literally everything. It is such a mystery to all of us. And today's episode is for every woman who ever thought, what is happening to me? Whether it's brain fog or anxiety or heart palpitations that are just coming out of nowhere, or sleep is all of a sudden elusive, or our body that just feels different and quite frankly often looks different too, we're talking to you. I'm joined by Dr. Sara Rinala, a compassionate and no BS expert in women's health, to help us demystify what's really going on during perimenopause. This conversation is not about fixing or shrinking or shaming our bodies. It's about understanding the changes, reclaiming the power of our health, and finding peace in the next phase of life. I can't even begin to tell you how hopeful and how empowered and how truly in control I felt after this conversation with Sara, and I'm so excited for you to hear. So whether you're just starting to notice subtle shifts or you're in the deep thick of it like a lot of us, this episode will make you feel seen and supported, more informed, and more confident than ever. Let's get into it. All right, everyone, welcome back to the latest episode of the Write Your Own Story podcast. I'm your host, Betsy Leonidas, and I am beyond thrilled to be here with Dr. dear friend, total badass, Dr. Sara Rinala.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be so exciting.
It's so exciting. I know this is your first podcast. I love putting people outside of their comfort zone, but you're an absolute queen, and I have no doubt that you're going to rock this. We go way back.
It's a hot topic.
It is a hot topic.
Love it.
Okay, we are going to talk about all things perimenopause. Literally everyone my age, I'm 43/29, and everyone is like, no, literally, I don't get it. What is it? So this whole episode, the whole intention for today is for everyone who is just feeling like off and has been told every off symptom is perimenopause. And it's like, but wait, I literally don't get what that is and why my labs are normal and blah, blah, blah. There's just a million stories I could tell to just feel seen, to have some more information, and to feel like they have a little bit more understanding of what's going on and what they could do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the key is going to be for women to be seen and be heard.
Oh.
And that's the goal.
God, I love
But
this.
the reality is this stage of life is beyond hard.
Yeah.
It's different. It's normal
Okay.
in so many ways, but yet none of it feels normal.
Do you know how I've rationalized it in my brain? This is really great. I'm sure it's in every medical journal. Is that when you were a cave woman, you just died at this point.
Yes.
There was no way to survive.
Exactly.
Like, your kids are old enough at this point to procreate themselves because they're like 12 now.
There were many good things about the cave era.
Yeah. So you're like, you know what? This whole situation sucks. I'm just
out.
dead.
I'm out.
Yeah. So
And
I'm sure he found
for our mother's generations,
Yes.
it was complete taboo. And even to this day, you ask your mother, your grandmother, what was menopause like? Oh, it wasn't that bad. And they shut down.
They shut down.
And that isn't good either.
Right? And like menopause, I feel like just based on like, I don't know, it's in like movies, you know, people like getting sweaty and like whatever that means. No one really knows what it means besides getting hot and sweaty and all of a sudden you don't get your period.
Right.
But whatever this decade is leading up to it, that just feels so out of control.
Correct.
I don't feel like my mom ever talked about it.
No, not a bit.
Did she even know about it?
Partly yes, and
Yeah.
partly it just was taboo. They weren't supposed to talk about it. This was their womanly duty, and
Yeah.
they just embraced and accepted it.
Mm.
Now, the caveat is the pendulum has swung completely to the opposite extreme, and we are overwhelmed and inundated
Yes.
in every aspect of seeing, hearing, and blaming hormones for all symptoms.
That's so true. It's like it's to the point where it almost makes me not want to go on social media anymore.
Absolutely.
Because I'm being told that my hormones are out of whack, that my cortisol is too high, that I'm never going to be happy, that I should be taking all this stuff for my stomach bloat. I'm like, I mean, I think I'm a little bloated, but like now I feel really bloated thanks to you guys telling me how bloated I am. Like,
Right?
nothing feels good about it.
No. And our algorithm on social media and every avenue is just loaded with information.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to deviate and know what's good information, what's accurate information, and what do I believe at this stage of the game. What is normal, what's not normal, and where can I go from here?
Okay, can we start with like literally like what's happening in this? Is it a decade leading up to menopause? I mean, roughly. I mean, I know we're talking because it's like probably case by case, but
correct. The hardest part of this is no two women are alike.
Yeah.
There is not two people that you can talk to that will have the exact same story.
Yeah.
Menopause, by definition, is 12 months of no vaginal bleeding without hormone association.
Okay.
So those that are not taking the pill, using an IUD or any type of hormone, go 12 months without a period, you are in menopause.
Okay.
Perimenopause is this vague time frame that happens as we're transitioning to menopause.
Yeah.
And it can be 7 to 10 plus years of variability of symptoms and variability in our hormone levels. Typically what we see as it starts is the periods become very irregular.
Yeah.
They get closer, they get heavier, they get more cramping, and then all of a sudden they start to space apart.
Weird.
So we start with that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we're also feeling fatigued,
Yes.
just not ourselves. That energy that we used to have to get up, run around with our kids, get to the million scheduled things,
Yes.
we just don't have it. We don't have the motivation, the energy,
Yes.
the go anymore.
And like you were saying with the motivation, like it's just not there. Like the brain fog kind of gets in the way, the energy gets in the way, and the feeling of overwhelm that comes with, it's not like the to-do list got any shorter.
No.
The driving schedule just got way longer. Like,
Yes. And the anxiety is just building.
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is the anxiety, again, I know no two people are alike, but like asking for a friend, is the anxiety building because the overwhelm is building because I'm not feeling myself to be able to tackle the day that's ahead of me? Or is the anxiety like a chemical component of a hormone shift?
Yes.
All the above. I knew you were going to that. I knew you were going to do that. Yeah.
So yes, we get overwhelmed,
Yeah.
we get anxious, we get palpitations. We start these palpitations, our cortisol skyrockets.
Yep.
The cortisol skyrockets and our hormones go haywire.
Hormones.
So in this perimenopausal stage,
Yeah.
what we used to be little hills and valleys of hormones becomes a yo-yo. We're
Yeah.
up and down, up and down, up and down. And it can be a dramatic response.
Yes.
And it just builds upon each other.
And it's not cyclically up and down.
No.
So we can no longer track our cycle and be like,
Correct.
well, actually everyone is on death row when I'm about to get my period.
Because it is a yo-yo.
Yeah.
It is 1 day, 1 minute, 1 second of each time.
It's so hard.
Yes.
And that's so overwhelming to think of being like, okay, like what do you have to do? Just become like a monk?
Right.
And like, you know, it's essentially just to be like, I'm just going to ride this out.
I just have to deal with this?
Yeah.
No, you
Yeah.
really, yes, in some ways.
Right.
We have to accept it. We have
Yeah.
to embrace it.
Yeah.
But we don't have to suffer. And that needs
I
to be
love
the
that.
message. So women's suffering needs to not be the priority. It needs to be, we need to empower ourselves to talk about it and make a plan. And not every plan is right for every woman.
Right.
But
Okay, first of all, Dr. Sara Rinala for president.
no,
Thank you. Right.
no.
You're like, actually, no. I know. But seriously, just to hear words of like, no women should have to suffer. Everyone, the barometer is, do you feel heard? Like,
Yes.
these are just like such great life messages, but absolutely when it comes to being in your own body, it is so overwhelming. Okay, for those of us who didn't finish reading the medical journals, is menopause when your estrogen goes down?
Yes.
And so in perimenopause, is your estrogen just like, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down, I'm up?
Correct.
Is that the driving hormone?
The driving hormone is estrogen.
Okay.
And the variability of that hormonal shift is sporadic.
Yeah.
So that's really the reason that as much as many people come in saying, can we test my hormones? Well,
Yeah.
we can,
Yeah.
but it may not be the answer because those labs are going to come back normal.
Normal.
But
Yes.
you don't feel normal.
That is-
You know that you feel something is off.
Yes.
But the lab value still says you're okay.
Yeah.
So you want to treat the symptom in my patient,
Yeah.
not the lab number.
Which is so, it's confusing.
It's counterintuitive.
It's counterintuitive. Yes,
because we like data.
Right.
I'm a scientist. I like
Absolutely.
black and I like white.
Right. You make informed decisions based off data.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is gray.
Yeah.
This whole stage of life is completely gray
Yeah.
as to how to approach it.
So if you come back with normal labs, is that like, just to make it super simple, like maybe your estrogen was normal at that time that you went to the lab for your draw,
Correct.
and 2 hours later, it just
bottom
plummet.
out.
Yeah.
And you're having the worst hot flash of your life. You're having palpitations. You're angry. You're raging.
Yes.
You're emotional. You're anxious about all of the things.
It's like your lab work is gaslighting you.
Correct. Totally.
Oh my gosh.
And as much as, this is $1 billion industry for a lot of companies
Yes.
who are playing on our vulnerabilities, and I understand their rationale.
Yeah.
But the reality is those labs aren't telling me anything more than you and I having a conversation.
Yeah, and probably the conversation is even telling you more, to your point.
Correct. So,
Okay. I also forget exactly what estrogen does.
So estrogen is in our body as the hormone that really stabilizes our cycles as we're in our reproductive years.
Yeah.
It allows for ovulation. There's a multitude and complex of hormones that do this.
Yeah.
So ovulation happens, the cycle continues.
Yeah.
But when it becomes shifting, we know that the drop in that estrogen is what is triggering the hormonal response of hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, which are the key menopause symptoms.
Okay.
There are secondary symptoms that are just a gamut of things. Fatigue, skin changes, hair loss, weight gain, joint aches, all these other factors.
Right? Where's anything in the plus column?
Right.
Again, this is why the cave women were like, peace.
Yeah, I know. Gotta know.
Gotta go.
Gotta go. And that's just it.
Yeah.
And so many times women will say, I'm just getting old.
Yeah.
Well, we are aging. We
Yeah.
all are.
Yeah.
It is a true natural event. However, some of these symptoms can be improved if we just talk about them, if we just embrace and acknowledge them. So,
And what is so hard is I really also feel like with the return of like skinny culture has made a hard boomerang back
yes,
for various reasons.
correct.
And our worth is so often tied mentally to our weight and our appearance.
Yes.
And when we continue to, our shape just genuinely changes. Maybe the number on the scale doesn't even change because you're hitting the gym, you're getting leaner, but like your middle is changing.
Correct.
All of a sudden, then I feel like depression and all that stuff sets in that may not even be chemically based, or maybe it starts to sink in chemically, but it's driven by the fact that you're beating yourself up over circumstances that like somewhere out of your control. Again, back to your point of acceptance, to be like, it's not like you have to surrender and be like, I'm just going to feel like shit for the next 10 years.
Right.
But like, it is, to your point, it's embracing this new phase of life, managing your symptoms with someone that really truly listens to you and being like, okay, what are we going to do with this phase?
And trying to deviate the hamster's wheel.
Yeah.
This ever ongoing of this leads to that, that leads to this, and we just feel like we're stuck.
Yeah.
We need to not feel stuck if we can.
Yeah.
And there's no perfect approach, there's no perfect answer, but at the same time we can feel better about it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I feel like I understand sort of hormonally and chemically what is going on. And that typically, when does it typically start? I know typically is the wrong word to use, but you know, what is sort of the range?
So in the United States, menopause average is about 51.
Okay.
So again, 12 months, no vaginal bleeding, around 51. But we're seeing as early as 35-ish that some of the perimenopausal symptoms will start.
Okay. Perimenopausal starts at 35. Okay. So that's like, if you're listening and you're around that age and you're like, wait, I am anxious, I am palpitating, like, you know, if I look, I had the twins at 34 and I had to work hard to get that weight off, but like I got really lean. It happened again. And I'm like, now I'm like more active than I've ever been, and I'm just a different shape.
Right.
And I'm like, now to the point where I'm like, no, actually, I'm just going to embrace being like a little more curvy and see what we can do with that.
And you do.
Yeah.
Our metabolism does change.
Yeah.
And it's not solely just hormones,
Yeah.
because we also see it in men. Their metabolism changes too.
Yeah.
Works completely differently, but our metabolism does kind of shift.
Yeah.
And the estrogen and those hormonal changes factor into that.
Yeah.
Women ourselves tend to gain our weight and our low abs and
Yeah.
our low hips and core
Yeah.
region. It's like a little inner tube,
Yep.
a little water wing,
Which is
around the
already
middle.
taken a beating if you've had children.
Respectfully.
Right.
Yeah, and you feel it. Your
Yeah.
clothes don't fit as well.
Yeah.
You feel heavier.
Yeah.
It's all those factors.
It is
And there's no quick fix. We could deviate and go to, well, we see quick fixes out
Right,
there.
we do.
A lot of people are using them so that they can meet the stereotype
Yeah.
vision
Yeah.
for their body image. Is it always the right answer? Not necessarily.
No.
So
It feels like potentially, and again, everyone is a case-by-case basis, but like, I get that it's so tempting. I am not above being like,
respectfully,
yes, 100% respectfully. I'm like, damn it, that does look so tempting.
right?
But like, I just have tried to like, you know what? Like, it's like when you were a teenager, like my Adeline is like such a skinny mini, right? Like and she's always like, I wish I had leggings legs. I'm like, girl, what are leggings legs? She was like, you have leggings legs. And she was like, mine are too skinny. And I was like, but you have the greatest butt. And so like, we're standing in the mirror, like trying to like pump each other up. But I'm like, it's just, your body changes. And so I'm like, okay. So then now I've gone from being like whatever I was in my 30s, but I'm like, I'm a little curvier now, but I'm like, okay, I think a curvy body is also beautiful.
Right, absolutely.
And then I like tried to find examples of people in society that I'm like, ooh, they're curvy. I was like, and they're a total smoke show. Like, those are your new, like, this
Yes.
is your North Star.
Absolutely.
So now that, like, you kind of come to the mental terms of your body change, because I think, like, I hate to focus on that, but I really do think that is one of the hardest parts for women
Absolutely.
in this society.
Yes.
And we would be remiss not to talk about it. But then it's like, to your point, okay, how do you manage symptoms? So how do you manage symptoms?
So everybody is very different,
Okay.
and it doesn't have to be just medicine.
Okay.
But I also don't want to send the message of eat less, exercise more.
Yeah,
Because
and just
the reality is that hasn't been working.
Yeah.
People are trying that in
Yeah.
many ways. So, there are lots of natural approaches.
Okay.
There are lots of behavioral changes that can help.
Yeah.
We preach about getting enough water every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
We aren't great with water intake. It's
No, it doesn't
hard.
taste good.
It's not easy.
Wine tastes so much better.
Right?
It tastes so much better.
Right, and
I
it's
feel that.
much more social.
Uh-huh,
So we go
totally.
out with
Yeah.
our friends, we all have our glasses of wine,
Yeah.
and we're up all night with our hot flashes.
Yes.
Yes.
Because is that like a blood sugar thing or something? Like,
there is a definite connection, especially red wine.
yes.
You will have a lot more night sweats.
Ugh,
Sorry.
still worth it.
Yes.
At this stage today, June 6th, June 18th, whatever day it is, still worth it.
Pick our vices.
Right,
here.
pick
I'm
our
like,
vices.
I'll have some night sweats. I
Yeah.
needed my social time with the girls.
Yes.
So, alcohol,
Mhm.
caffeine,
Yep.
those are big triggers. A lot of salt and sodium will increase our inflammation in our body, so we feel things very differently. So by decreasing salt and sodium, increasing water, getting our adequate exercise, good sleep habits.
Yeah.
If we go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, stay in a rhythm,
Yeah.
it will help lessen some of these changes that are happening.
And those all just feel like stability drivers.
Absolutely.
And kind of probably great practices at whatever
Just
age you are.
in general.
Yeah, but we're also in such a busy stage of life that it's like, don't forget about your basics, which are hard to implement.
Absolutely.
I think. Yeah.
Because we have kids,
Right.
we have life, we
Yeah.
have jobs, we have a million other things.
And they're not fun.
No.
Like-
like, I would like to do
Yeah.
some of these things, but the reality is,
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to drink another glass of water.
Right.
I will.
right?
But right, it's just, or like, I kind of want to doom scroll instead of like, which wrecks my sleep.
yes.
I like have an Aura ring and can track it, and like I can just feel like all the changes when I am on my phone for an hour right before I go to bed.
Absolutely.
Ugh. It's better, honestly, if I prefer to read or to journal and go to bed, but even if I just watch a television show, that's better on me than
Then
the
on
phone.
the phones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But we have a hard time disconnecting.
Right, because
Yes.
it's like the quickest way to disassociate with the stress that you've had during the day, and it's like, I think
Right.
it's a dopamine hit, I don't
Yeah,
know. Okay.
it is. So,
Okay, so if you are feeling these symptoms or you're feeling out of whack, it's kind of like get those foundational elements in. Okay, so we talked about how wine kind of like spikes the blood sugar maybe or like exasperates. What does coffee do? Tell me, you're gonna have to really sell that hard
Yeah.
for me to cut back.
now again, I'm a coffee
drinker.
lover.
Yeah,
all
same.
day, every day.
Same.
I'm not asking anyone to change their preferences. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, caffeine is a stimulant.
Yeah.
These stimulants rev up our our stress system,
Yeah.
our cortisol levels, and how we respond to other things. So it just triggers us to run at a higher
Yeah. The
baseline.
palpitations, the anxiety.
Correct.
Okay.
So we feel it differently, but it
Yeah.
also affects our metabolism as well.
Interesting.
So-
You would think it would speed it up
Not
because it's a stimulant.
necessarily.
God,
Yeah.
that is rude.
I know, it's just wrong.
God.
So
If you're building your dream business and you know you need to build an email list, but the idea of picking and using an email platform totally overwhelms you, trust me, I get it. But I've got you, girl. Flowdesk is where it's at. Flowdesk is the email marketing platform designed with female entrepreneurs in mind. Think gorgeous, on-brand templates plus powerful workflows that save you hours. I promise you, I've never used an easier email platform with such stunning results. Whether you're sending an email launching a new offer or podcast episode, sharing new news, or trying out a fancy workflow to convert a new email subscriber into a paying customer, Flowdesk helps you show up professionally with ease without spending a ton of time or money. And not to mention, these emails are gorgeous. And because you're a Write Your Own Story podcast listener, you get an exclusive 50% off your first year of Flowdesk. Plus, they'll send you $19 cash back when you join using the link in the show notes. So if you're ready to send stunning emails that convert and actually enjoy the process, click the link in the show notes and give Flowdesk a try. That's 50% off your first year plus $19 back in your pocket. Check out Flowdesk today. It's like your super talented email writing best friend. I promise you won't regret it. Now, back to the episode.
Does switching to decaf help? No?
not really.
Just stole Christmas.
Sorry. Stick with your calf. It's not going to be that
not
much
even
of a
worth it.
difference.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just
Just maybe moderation.
right. Moderation.
Life
Okay.
in moderation.
Or just throw some more water in there.
That's right.
Flush it out.
A cup of coffee, 2 bottles of water.
Okay.
A cup of coffee, 2
I
bottles
can
of
handle
water.
that ratio. I can
Yes.
handle that ratio. Quick question about cortisol, because that also seems to be like one of the rage topics right
Yes.
now, and that everyone is dry brushing and ice bathing and like all. They're like, if you just do these 10 easy steps in the morning, your cortisol.
Right. Detox.
Right. Well, detox.
Uh-huh.
Does cortisol ever detox, or is it like a fight or flight?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
You need cortisol.
Yeah.
You want cortisol. But cortisol is in a response to stress. We are a stress society.
Right.
We are a go, 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 go.
Yeah.
We never disconnect. We never just settle and have calm
Yeah.
the majority of the time.
Right.
So I think we're in cortisol overload
Okay.
comparative to,
Yeah.
do we really need a detox? Not a complete withdrawal. You have to have it. But we just need to keep it in check.
So when our cortisol is higher because we're doing all the things and all the stress, what is it about the lesser level of estrogen that makes it feel so much worse? For example, is my cortisol different than it was in my 20s, or do I just have less estrogen than in my 20s, and so now it just feels worse?
Well, I think if we're talking about it more,
Yeah.
we had cortisol in our 20s.
I also felt like shit in my 20s, so
Right.
yeah.
It's not a great era
Yeah,
either.
I was having
for a
like
whole
panic attacks.
different reason.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So cortisol was still there.
Yeah.
I think we just learned to adapt and learn to deal with things differently, in some ways better, in some ways worse, and we are functioning at higher levels now than what society was 20 years ago. The expectation, the stress, the mental health, all of the things are a little more intense for people. So cortisol and estrogen, they work together, but they work differently.
Yeah.
And really what the basis of this stage is more the estrogen. It's that variability of the estrogen that just makes the cortisol seem so much more out of balance.
Okay, that makes total sense. So it's like if we do these kind of core baseline things that we talked about to start with, theoretically, how would we feel better?
So we're going to sleep better.
Okay.
We're going to hopefully feel a little more rested.
Yeah.
Have less fatigue.
Yeah.
We're be able to really function at an improved, more efficient level in many ways, so that things don't seem as overwhelming, as stressful.
Yeah.
Is it going to be perfect? No,
Right.
It's not magic. So yeah, you can do all of the good, healthy things and still feel like shit.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Right.
And that's the reality of this phase: is we can do everything right and not feel 100%.
Yeah. It's like you can do everything right and feel 100%
for days and then all of a sudden it disappears again.
The carpet gets pulled
Pulled
again.
out. Yeah.
We can do everything right and never see that scale budge. We can do everything right and never feel like we have gotten caught up or gotten ahead.
Yeah.
And that's where women get really frustrated.
Absolutely.
We want results.
Yeah.
If we're going to put the work in, we need to see the reward.
Mm. Okay, so then that's like baseline. And let's say we do that and we're driving ourselves nuts, getting into perfection mode because we're not seeing the results that we're getting. And then we come back to you and we're like, it's not helping. What is kind of like the next tier of things to try?
So then you want to make sure that you aren't overlooking something else.
Yeah.
Obviously, palpitations can be caused by a lot of things other than just stress and anxiety. You have to make sure you don't have a thyroid disorder, that we aren't having a cardiac workup and needing concerns for our cardiac health. Women overlook cardiac events. We displace all of those symptoms. So you don't want to minimize symptoms. You don't want to just blame hormones. You have to make sure you do your due diligence. When you've ruled out all the other bad possible things, we all blame hormones. And that's okay. That's my job. I like to talk about that. It's easier than talking about MIs and cardiac disease, frankly. So when we know that it is related to the hormones that we feel these things, there are lots of options out there. And it doesn't have to be just pharmaceutical options. There are herbal options that have been around a long time. The downside with herbal options is they're not FDA regulated. There's a little bit of variability from pill to pill or tablet to tablet. But women have shown responses and results. They try melatonin, they try soy, black cohosh, 5-HT for mood. So there are lots of options. You can go to the pharmacy and see a whole line of potentials.
Well, okay, so talking about the billion-dollar industry that you had referenced before, I'm like, if you look at my supplement lineup right now, it runs deep because everything is like de-stress. Like it's ashwagandha. It is a different one that is supposed to just help with cortisol that I can't remember what it's called. It's a multivitamin. It's B12 for energy.
Correct.
And then I'm taking magnesium at night, and then this like PS100 thing that's supposed to help with like brain fog and inflammation. I mean, I am an 80-year-old woman. I have a pill organizer.
Here's your Monday box.
I've peaked. Is this it? Is this the peak? This feels like the peak.
This is getting expensive.
It's so expensive.
Right?
I was like, so I'm going on vacation next week, and of course, like every bottle is just getting low enough that I don't know if I'll be able to pack all of my pills for the next week. So I reordered a slew of them, and I was like, that was $250.
Correct.
Holy moly. So my long-winded tangent point, which are my favorite points to make, is like, there's a million options. Some of the things that you just rattled off, I feel like I'm inundated with this information. I've never heard of those. How do you know, and the internet does not narrow anything down for you. How do you know where to start?
And that's just it. It is, you have to open the discussion. You have to find what is going to really be your priority. What are we looking to help? Are we looking to help fatigue? Is that the worst symptom for you? Is it the sleep interruptions? And why are we having sleep interruptions? Is it because we're waking up with our to-do list and our brain's in overdrive? Or is it because we have to change out of our night clothes because we're soaking wet? Two completely different things to discuss. So it's really about prioritize your symptoms. If it is hot flashes, night sweats, we need certain herbal supplements. If it's mood, there are alternatives. If it's fatigue, it's this, that, or the other. But the reality is they may or may not benefit, and there's some expense associated with it.
And it just feels like there also is a little bit of trial and error too.
Correct. And
which
that's
is
just
hard.
it. It's hard.
Because
it sets you up for failure, which no woman wants.
And like women categorically, we hate to fail more than anything in the world, let alone absolutely externally, but like to feel like you're failing yourself is just a whole nother level. One thing that I wanted to circle back to that you said that I was like, actually, that is so like liberating to hear when you're like, okay, let's say you're having heart palpitations. I actually do need to send you to a cardiologist first, where like, I feel like some women feel like they're getting the runaround being like, just, oh, maybe it's this, or maybe it's that. I loved it. That was such a mental shift for me to hear it put that way, to be like, actually, like, we're just doing due diligence. Because like, we are at the ages where it's like, you know, hard stuff happens, like things happen. Let's make sure that, I know this sucks that you're not going to feel, I can't give you a prescription, you're going to feel better tomorrow, but like, let's also make sure that your valves are valving.
That your blood is pumping. That we aren't setting you up for other major health issues that we just didn't take the time to address it initially.
And like that is also like, I mean, that opens a whole nother can of worms in my brain about like, you know, the studies of women and like how we are just constantly overlooking symptoms and all medication is tested on men, and we can just go down whole tangents. But the point being, as much as every woman is like, I don't have time to go to the cardiologist. I don't think this cardiologist, Instagram is telling me it's my hormones. Like, you know, and all my friends are telling me it's my hormones. So, but it's like, make the time.
You need to.
Yeah, you got to make the time on this one.
We have to be cautious here.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that we're not at risk with cholesterol
Yeah.
and our heart health and our long-term just baseline.
Yeah.
It's important.
It's important.
For your health, your future generation's health, your kids, everybody.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yes, it does feel it feels heavy. It's another layer.
It's another thing to do.
It's another to-do list.
And you have no idea, to your point before, if it's going to work or not.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
And you almost want it to all come back negative.
Yes.
Because like you said, the hormone conversation feels a little less scary than
something else.
Yeah.
And frankly, I say that all the time.
Yeah.
Your labs are normal. That's great.
Yeah.
You want nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
The reality is you still don't feel good.
Yeah.
So we have to still work through this.
Yeah.
But at least it's not something else. It's not something major at this point.
Okay.
Hormones are major. They are important.
Yeah.
But it's not
Life or death.
life or death.
Yeah. I think, okay, that literally, I just like, a huge weight melted off. I'm like, we can all make time for this kind of stuff, and no one's giving you the runaround. No one's out to get you. It's like, let's do the due diligence. Let's go get it checked out. So people come back to you with their normal labs and their normal hearts and their normal thyroids and all the things.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm drinking the water and doing the walks and everything. When people, I think kind of the default right now, like sort of trend wise, is to start with the natural kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like but then they go see all the natural doctors. I've done it. Like,
Right.
how do you know when to do natural versus something prescribed?
So it's really patient preference.
Okay.
And there's no harm in doing prescription over more natural approaches. And it's very independent to the patient. I feel like what I hear is people want hormone replacement.
Yeah.
They don't want birth control.
Yeah.
And the reality is they're the same hormones.
Right? Okay. That blew my mind when you told me that. I was
Yes.
like, okay.
So they're both estrogen and progesterone.
Yes.
They are at different levels for different reasons.
Okay.
These perimenopausal women who are still cycling
Mm-hmm.
somewhat regularly,
Mm-hmm.
who are having symptoms, may need more of the contraceptive dosing
Mm-hmm.
so that we can stop ovulation, control our bleeding patterns, while still giving benefits to the hot flashes, the fatigue, the joint aches, the hair loss, the skin changes. We need that dosing to regulate where your phase of hormones are.
Yeah.
A woman who's already in menopause,
Mm-hmm.
who we know is
That's
really
true.
low,
Right. She gone.
she's done, doesn't need the dose to prevent ovulation anymore.
Right, she's no longer
She
ovulating.
needs the dose to help with symptoms.
That literally blew my mind. Because again, like for just an amateur Instagram follower out here, I'm just like, everyone needs hormones. But that, like, it was a huge difference maker for me to go back on the pill. And I'm like, okay, I feel it was not the magic pill. I'm still Captain Crazy over here. Like, but I feel better and more stable. And the way you explain that and the difference, like, I had no idea.
Yes.
That was a game changer.
So they're both estrogen and progesterones.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how are they working and why do we need the dose that we do and the method that we're giving it compared to later in life when we're at a different transition point.
Yeah.
And there's no right answer. It doesn't
Right.
just have to be a pill.
Right.
And I'm not saying you can't do hormone replacement when you're perimenopausal,
Yeah.
but there may be side effects associated.
Yeah.
And we are trying not to make things worse.
Right.
We're not trying to create more symptoms. We want to take them away.
So is it kind of like starting with the more conservative approach and then adding layers to address like the prioritized list of symptoms?
Sometimes we throw it all together.
Yeah, like a
Some
little
women
kitchen
says,
sink.
I'm struggling. I'm not functioning. I'm not good for my job. I'm not good at home. I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We can start hormones.
Yeah.
And you can start your diet, your exercise, your water. You need those things,
Yeah.
just generally,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to prolong your suffering
Right.
until we say, try this for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It's a really long time. And when someone finally makes the appointment to come in and see
Correct.
you, they're at their lowest.
Yes, they are at their breaking point
Yeah.
majority of the times.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot for women to put themselves first,
Yeah.
so many times. So by the time they hit my door,
Yeah.
we're at at that point of begging to, or tearful,
Yes.
or just completely feeling broken.
And oh God.
And it's a defeat, and they just are like, I'm defeated. I've either done these things, or I don't know how to do these things because I feel so bad already.
Oh, and it's just a vicious downward cycle from there. It must be really hard as a doctor to hear that all day long. Like, as an empathetic
Yes.
person and as a woman, to be like, it makes me so sad how defeated women are.
Circling back, we don't have to suffer.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to suffer.
I love this.
It doesn't have to be my job, my kids, my dog, the
Yeah.
house. It doesn't have to be everything before me
Yeah.
anymore. So, and that's the hard part. That's the message that I think we're getting to it.
Yeah.
You know, that pendulum swinging, we've kind of gone a little overboard with,
Yeah.
with flooding us with the message, but
Yeah.
we're finally getting to a point that we're going to take some action, hopefully.
And like, I feel like conversations in our homes can be like, hey, I really like I'm feeling out of balance. That would be
Right.
like, if your husband comes to you and is like, I'm depressed, you're like, okay, let's fix it. Like, or, you know, I have a broken bone or I have heart disease. Like, you fix it. Like, there should be, it feels still kind of taboo to talk about. And like, oh, she's just hormonal. Like, she's just crazy. But it's literally like the chemicals in your body is those, like,
Completely out of sync.
yeah.
And how many times I've said it to you?
Yeah.
If you had diabetes, you would treat it.
Yes.
If you had high blood pressure, you would treat it. If you had an ear infection, you would treat it.
Yeah.
This needs to be no different than that.
Right.
The same with our mental health. You know, if
Yes.
it is if this isn't just hormonal changes and we are having anxiety in addition to perimenopause and all of life as it is, we need to treat both conditions.
Yes.
We need to embrace it, not just shy away from one symptom because we shouldn't talk about
Right? Or I should be able to get through this. If it's mental, I should be able to power through
it.
it.
Right.
Why? It's like saying I should be able to power through heart disease.
Correct.
It's a chemistry thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I should be able to power through surgery without anesthesia. No one would do that.
Right. No, thank you.
Right?
Yes, hard pass.
No.
Absolutely. Okay, so if we are, you know, if we are starting on birth control or if we're at a different sort of end of the spectrum and we're starting hormone replacement therapy, what is and again, I know it's kind of based on everyone's specific symptoms, but what is the hope we'll start to feel a little bit better?
Yeah, so when you start these medicines, usually within 4 to 6 weeks, you should have some improvements.
Yeah.
Some will say it's much sooner than that. Some will say it's much later. And it's really this, you know, work in progress, as I would say. I want to be in communication during that time frame.
Yeah.
Tell me how you're feeling. We're starting these middle of the road doses. We can go up,
Yeah.
we can go down.
Yeah.
There's no harm in going either direction for whatever symptom you feel like is still lingering or isn't great, or maybe I'm noticing this more now that I've started the medicine versus before.
Yeah.
We can tweak that, and we can individualize that so that, but by 4 to 6 weeks, most people are saying, yeah, I noticed a difference.
Yeah, which just like, and then for the woman who is at her point of desperation, who comes into your office, who is already teary sitting down, what you don't see is like the happy tears at home where she's like, oh my God, I finally feel a little better.
The heaviness coming off the shoulders to be like, wow, okay,
Yes.
I can get through tomorrow.
Yes.
There's something I can do in addition to the rest of my schedule.
To have someone like you to help. Like we all need help.
Yes.
Like,
Truly, it takes a village.
It does.
This village needs to be broad as perimenopausal hits because you're like, wow, this is a lot.
and because it is such a long-term sort of phase of life before we get into menopause, like let's say, so we're on birth control because we're sort of at the beginning of perimenopause and that's helping. Could one probably expect to then have to adjust 3 years into this to be like, okay, we're still, again, this is a long game here. This is
Right.
the long phase. Is that right?
So it depends on where you are.
Yeah.
And what's happening. So women coming in at 45, for example, who are like, I need something, usually start birth control pills or they do an IUD and those kind of things. And we transition through that.
Yeah.
But as we're getting closer to 51, 52, where we should be more in the menopausal range, we can switch over to an estrogen patch and progesterone tablets. We can transition off of what is birth control into those hormone replacement dosing.
Yeah.
And not have a window of of gap.
Absolute chaos.
Yes.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Destruction.
Just jumping off the bridge.
Right?
Yeah.
No.
Metaphorically.
Right,
not
don't
literally.
do that.
Please don't do it. Yeah.
But so you can transition, but you kind of have to gauge as we're seeing symptoms gauge. Now, as you're getting into those 50s, we have to do our due diligence. The studies will say 5 years of treatment.
Yeah.
Okay.
5 years of treatment meaning what? You should only do it for 5 years?
Potentially, because the risk outweigh the benefits.
Of hormone replacement specifically, or being
Correct.
on the pill?
Hormone replacement.
Okay.
So we're talking mid-50s.
Yeah.
To closer to 60s.
Yeah.
Depending on where we are in the transition phase.
Yeah.
We know that there are risks associated with hormones. We understand that.
Yeah.
But we also understand when these studies were done and what we're holding on to was 30 plus years ago.
You're kidding. Yeah. And what are they claiming the risk to be? Like cancer or?
Yeah, so breast cancer is the biggest one.
Okay.
There are lots of benefits, so
Yeah.
I don't want to skew this only to negatives.
Yeah.
Breast cancer is a big risk.
Okay.
And the longer the use, obviously we have to gauge that we're aging and the breast cancer risk is increasing. Now
Right.
we're adding hormones to increase that risk. And it's a slight risk, but
Yeah.
we have to do our due diligence to
Keep an
talk
eye on
about
it.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the reality is the longevity of life is changing comparative to what they were seeing previously. So we kind of still individualize that. Yes, the literature says 5 years of use. I respect that.
Yeah.
But if a woman says to me, I'll taper off, I'll try after I've been on 5 years, I'm 58,
Yeah.
maybe I'll be better without it. They try it for 3 months and they're back to suffering. You have to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And that's the real key.
And then can you like increase your screening?
So it depends.
Yeah. Oh, right, because I'm sure insurance has something to say about that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're in a little bit of a catch there,
Yeah.
but obviously you count family history risk, personal history, and all of the risk factors that go with that,
Yeah.
what their mammogram screening is, and really a conversation.
Yeah.
We're mature adults. If you want to make this decision, you accept the risk, and
You're
I
informed.
understand that.
Yeah.
And I respect that. Quality over quantity.
Yeah,
In
truly.
some ways.
Oh, I think that's very fair to say. And so this is why I was like, you were so honest. I was like, this is why, please come. Okay, so when we talk about the benefits, so first of all, let's, going back just to make sure I fully capture everything. So let's say we're 45, we start on the pill, we're getting close to that 51, 52. Are we transitioning to hormone replacement therapy because we should go into menopause? So we want to support that. We need to like stop having a period because we're in our 50s now. So
Right.
like, that's what
Yes.
our body needs to
So
do.
our body is doing that.
Yeah.
Whether because we're on the pill, we may not be seeing all of that happening,
Oh.
but our body is still transitioning to menopause despite us being on the pill.
So it's not like it just stops Father Time.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're still transitioning. We're just balancing out that roller coaster that we were on
Yeah.
to make it a little more manageable.
Yes.
So your body still transitions. It still happens. You will still be in menopause at whatever age. It's just a matter of maybe we can change your dosing and the mode that we're getting it so that we can improve other health factors. So typically hormone replacement, when we're in that stage of life, we use an estrogen patch
Okay.
and a progesterone pill.
Okay.
The patch we use instead of a pill because it bypasses liver metabolism.
Oh.
We don't want the liver working any harder than it needs to in many ways.
Yeah.
And we absorb that estrogen, get the same benefits,
I love this.
and it works. You need the progesterone in menopause if you have a uterus.
Ah.
So if you have a uterus and are menopausal, you need progesterone so that it counters the estrogen effect on the uterine lining to
Okay.
minimize your uterine cancer risk.
Okay. That makes total sense.
Easy.
And then that can't be a patch.
No, so it's usually either an IUD or a pill.
Okay. Okay. And so then when we're taking, I guess it would be, the reason we need to switch to hormone replacement therapy is because we need more estrogen that is available probably and just regular birth control. And it's
Correct.
just, we're just playing with different levers. Okay.
Yes.
That makes total sense. So then now that let's say we're in menopause and we're doing the hormone replacement therapy, are we less sweaty? Like, are we?
Yes, it
Is that-
should lessen hot flashes,
Yeah.
lessen night sweats, decrease vaginal dryness.
Yeah.
So those are the three primary symptoms.
Yeah. And those are all awful.
They're huge.
Yeah.
You may have secondary benefits. You may improve your sleep. You may improve your mood. You
Yeah.
may improve the joint aches and pains and the weight gain and the hair loss and the skin changes. Those are secondary benefits, but it's not a direct relationship. you tend to feel more rested because you're having less night sweats. You're not up in the night pouring it and changing clothes.
So wild.
Yeah.
The things women have to go through.
Right?
All men have is they look like they swallowed a watermelon. It's just not fair.
Not fair.
It's not fair.
They cut out one thing and
Right.
they lose 2 pounds.
Literally.
And you're like, really?
They're like, I had one less beer this week and I
Right.
lost 10 pounds. You're like, you cannot come home.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't like you.
I don't like you. Oh, I know. I know. Okay, so this makes it feel honestly like a lot less daunting. And we've talked about the 3 sort of main symptoms for menopause. And then I understand perimenopause is like, it could be anxiety, palpitations, that kind of stuff. It can be the weight middle stuff. What are some of like the surprising, like didn't have that on my bingo card that happens to be perimenopausal?
It really can be anything.
Like vision change?
Yes.
Like
it can be
hair loss?
vision. It can be the development of new food intolerances. And you're like, what? Really?
Yeah.
I've eaten this food for 40 plus years. Why now? And
Yeah.
oh, welcome to this age.
Digestion?
Yes.
My digestion is like, girl, no.
Sorry.
Sorry. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Now this is like my supplements, I gotta add all this? I'm like, sure, let's do that.
Right?
But yeah, just everything hurts my stomach.
Correct. It can be wildly random.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will eat a meal that feels completely fine and I'm like, I look 6 months pregnant.
Correct. For
What?
no reason.
For no reason besides that was not nice.
No.
Right?
That's mean.
Just mean. I'm fine with being a little curvier, but you don't need to make me look 6 months pregnant.
Right.
I've already done that 3 times. I was efficient.
Overachiever.
Right. Well,
Yes.
if you say so. But okay, so that's the other thing is like I think when people are just not feeling well, it's okay to be like, honestly, maybe this is perimenopause.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think obviously keep it in check. You
Yeah.
don't want to just haphazardly blame everything on perimenopause.
Right.
But the reality is subtle changes can cause dramatic symptoms.
Yeah.
And the more in tune we are with our bodies, the more we see these changes happening.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the conversation piece is I felt fine 1 month and I didn't feel great the next. And then it spiraled from there.
It's so true. And I feel like what we've talked about is like what perimenopause feels like is whack-a-mole. You know,
Yes.
you're like, that sucked and that sucks and that sucks. And you're just like trying to like pound out all these symptoms. But I feel like we've done a great job of being like, actually, you can kind of like stabilize a baseline. And that just, it's not taking away the moles or anything, right? But like, it's just making the ground a little more solid. I don't know how I got on mole analogy, but here we are.
Here we are.
I'm committed. And commitment scares me. So
Right.
But then, like, you know, and then if you add a layer of birth control, again, you're stabilizing just a little bit more. Again, the moles are still here. They're
Yes.
still moling.
We're still on that
Yeah.
little bit of a wave.
Right.
We still need emotionality. We still need to feel some symptoms.
Yes.
But it's just tolerable.
Yes.
It takes it down a notch. It allows us to take a breath,
Yeah.
to embrace it, to be like, I can attack this.
Yes.
I can treat this.
Yes.
And I can move forward.
Yes.
It's not magic.
No.
It's not going to be 0. You're not going to feel like you were 21 again,
Yeah.
as much as we are
No.
hopeful.
Right?
But the reality is we are still going to be in this phase,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going to be able to tolerate it
Yeah.
and kind of cruise through it versus feel like we're on this back and forth yo-yo.
It really is like this wild yo-yo, big waves. But I do love the idea of, and I do feel like now that I'm on birth control, I do feel more stabilized.
Yes.
I really do. And then that way, if I'm collecting shin guards and all of a sudden it feels like a lion is chasing me, I'm like, okay, I can like I do have the mental space and like to be able to be like, just breathe. You're actually like, all is well.
It's okay.
You're late for practice every time. What's another one?
Like,
Like,
be shocked if
Right.
it was any other way.
it is a running joke in my family. If we get to practice on time, I'm like, do you want me to go take a lap and drive somewhere? This all feels uncomfortable for all
Right?
5 of us.
We don't know what to do.
We don't know what to do when we're on time for things. But like, you know, I think getting that little bit of stabilization gives you the mental space, the emotional space, the physical space to be like, I've noticed at like 4:00 when it's always right when the twins get off the bus, I'm like, I can't even stand up. I'm so tired. But if I go for a walk,
Yes.
my energy, I get like another 2-hour lift of energy.
Yes.
But if I hadn't sort of worked on my stabilization a little bit, I just would have felt so overwhelmed that I could never, not like I'm so depressed I can't get out of bed, but like it all just feels too much. So I would just be like, I'm just going to lie here.
Well, when we hit that wall of, I'm so tired, I'll get some caffeine.
Yeah.
I'll go have another cup of coffee. I'll grab a soda. And we're just feeding into the negative. And you're like, and you don't realize it because you think, this should pick me up. This will get me through the next couple hours, when in reality is we're bottoming that tank.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so speaking of caffeine, I'm still
You're stuck.
right. I'm just not ready to let it go yet. Sarah. Okay, how does it literally affect your metabolism? That makes me so sad.
Right. So it can build. Number one, it's a dehydrant.
Yeah.
So we're dehydrating our system
Yeah.
if we have too much caffeine. Tastes good.
It tastes so good.
Smells great.
I feel warm.
Yes.
It's nice.
It's nice. It's
so
comforting.
nice.
Right?
It is, really.
It is.
It's my best friend.
Right, mine too. So this is where we vibe.
Right.
And I'm not asking you to give it up.
I know.
But
because I won't.
it's a stimulant.
Yeah.
It does kind of rev us up.
Yeah.
But the reality is it changes how we process other foods, and it can build inflammatory markers in our system.
And is that essentially what's happening with the estrogen levels shifting? It's like increasing inflammation, which also affects your metabolism. And it just, okay. Because I was like, so then if people are genuinely trying to lose weight for health in this stage, is it a calorie deficit? Is it like, do I need to eat 300 grams of protein with every meal?
Right.
Hey, fellow boss babe, if you're craving less time on social because it feels like you're constantly in your comments and DMs trying to respond back to your potential customers, I totally get it. When I had my e-commerce business, I felt like I checked Instagram every 5 minutes. But what if there was a smarter, easier way to connect with your audience? Good news, there is. Let me introduce you to ManyChat, my go-to tool for automating messages on Instagram, Facebook, and even text. With ManyChat, you can set up automated conversations in minutes. No tech headaches, no coding required. Trust me, if I can figure it out, so can you. It's perfect for handling links to your offers, growing your list with DM keywords, and even booking clients literally while you sleep. It's efficient, super user-friendly, and honestly, it's like having a virtual assistant built right into your DMs. And the best part? Because you're a friend of the Write Your Own Story podcast, you can try it totally free for your first month. Just use the link in the show notes. Is there anything better than to test something for your business for an entire month with no cost attached? It's my favorite. So if you're ready to save time, respond faster, and turn followers into clients, tap the link in the show notes and give ManyChat a try for free. First month's on me. Grab the offer today and go enjoy a much-needed break from your phone. You deserve it.
It is a lot. I mean, do I want calorie deficit? No. Your body will go into starvation mode, and it knows that. So then you hold everything that much more.
So true.
Yes.
So true.
So you need a balanced diet.
Yeah.
I'm not into the extremes. I don't do fad dieting. I don't agree with all of that marketing. It needs to be balanced. It needs to be portion control.
Yeah.
You know, we really are focused now on more of a Mediterranean style diet, fish and proteins and vegetables before the fruits, before the carbs, before the sugars.
Is that to balance blood sugar, or is it just because that's really the nutrients your body needs, so let's just start there?
It's the nutrients that we need, but it also helps increase our metabolism. The proteins are harder to break down, takes more work, so we burn more calories that way. But we also feel fuller longer as well, so we're less hungry in general.
And are we more energized?
Typically.
Yeah.
Because you burn those carbs so quickly, they turn into sugars, and then you bottom out. And then you feel down. You feel like, oh, I have no energy to go again.
Yeah, and
so
then your body
then you eat more. You grab that quick snack, and it's a vicious cycle from the carb load.
And that, like, again, I think it really has been a journey for me to just be like, it's not about changing my shape. It's about, like, I just want to feel better.
Correct.
And I think I'm at the age now where I really do notice a difference. And when I eat better, I do feel better.
Yes.
I feel more stable as a human. It's a relative scale. And I feel more energized, which also is a relative scale. I know that I run at a different rate, you and I both do, than most.
Yes, we do.
But that doesn't mean that we don't feel tired. But I do feel more stable when I exercise and eat right. But I've also given myself the grace to be like, there are no measures or markers for me anymore.
Right.
It's like, I don't know if it's really intuitive or not, but like, if all I feel like doing is walking for the day, then that's all I'm going to do.
Well, and your body needs that. It needs the variety.
Yeah.
If you do the same routine day in and day out, that's your baseline. You're not going to burn calories. You're not going to lose weight. That's your metabolism's baseline. So the variety of exercise, take the day to do a brisk walk versus your Pilates one day versus weights the next day versus cycling, whatever you enjoy doing, but it has to be that variety of exercise. It can't be the same elliptical routine day in and day out, or you will never see a change.
Never see a change. And does it have the same effect on your energy level? If you do the variety, it kind of gives you these more like energy bursts.
Yeah.
See, you guys? And I love that this has also been so empowering to shift. I mean, I know I've talked a lot about weight, but I'm intentionally so that people see that it's actually like a feel better benefit versus just focusing on your weight. Like, it's just kind of hard to move right now.
Right. You just feel heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really, you will feel better both physically and mentally with that change.
Yeah.
So
I love this. And I do feel like, okay, so then we've stabilized, we've kind of got our baseline, we've tried medication, and then we're monitoring still these symptoms that come up. So let's say you've got your like kind of core stabilized, I'm on birth control, but like, let's say I'm still having mood swings. Then do I go to like maybe, I've tried breath work and all that stuff. Then do I go to medication for that?
Can, definitely.
Yeah.
And they might be not just adding layers of medicine, but you may not need additional pills. We can then talk about, well, there are certain classes of anti-anxiety antidepressants that actually bind to the receptors to minimize hot flashes and night sweats too.
No way.
That are really meant for your mood stabilization, but yet you see the secondary gain of less hot flashes and less night sweats. So it's really an approach to treat the symptoms versus just cookie cutter, here's your prescription. So there are lots of caveats. If you've tried the herbals and you failed, you don't have to just go to hormones. Some people are very hesitant about hormones. Yeah. Some women can't have hormones, period. They have other health conditions, and you don't want them to feel like, sorry, I got nothing for you.
No options.
So you can use different types of medicines that are out there that we do see to benefit, whether it's a specific symptom that you want to add something new to the birth control or the hormones that you're taking, or if you just want to switch to this class and say, mood is my issue, but I do have some hot flashes, night sweats, then maybe just this medicine versus adding another one to it.
God, this is like, I feel so hopeful when I feel like this phase of life in terms of feeling good doesn't feel very hopeful. Yeah. I feel so hopeful in this conversation.
Because we have options.
We have options.
We don't have to accept any one option, but they're at least out there.
And like now I feel like we've given people like barometers of like, here's what your options are doing. You're not getting the runaround. This really is like a kind of a trial and error game, but for the sake of helping you.
Exactly.
Not for spinning you in circles and making you spend more money.
Right. And that's my least amount of goal.
Yeah,
it would be easy for all of these women to walk in that say, test my hormones. It'd be easy to click that button and say, okay, and not have the conversation. The reality is I can do it.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you some money. Your insurance may not cover it. That's your choice. But the reality is it's not going to change what I have to offer you to make your symptom improve.
Yeah.
And if you don't need a medicine, great.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But just know I'm here. Reach out if it changes.
Yeah.
And that's the reality behind it.
Okay, I also feel like you've painted a great picture of like what we're looking for in doctor conversations, and like it's sometimes like I felt this with picking a therapist. I'm like, that's just as hard as dating, and it's like I think that when going to a doctor, there's so many different doctors who address perimenopause. Like, where's the best place to start?
Right. You have to have that connection.
Yeah.
And
that's why we're best friends.
I know. This is why I love you. You have to be able to spill it, say it as it is, and feel comfortable. But you also have to be heard. Yeah. That person on the receiving end needs to hear what you've said and not minimize. Yeah. How many times have you heard, oh, that's just normal. Yes. You're just getting old. Yeah. And you're like, well, I know that. Right. But it doesn't have to be tolerated. It doesn't have to be just accepted as, I'm old. Yeah. Here I am.
Here I am.
I mean,
sledding down the hill.
Here we go. And it's a quick drop for a lot of stages.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Slippery little slope, isn't it? Welcome to our new book chapter.
Breaking news, everyone, we're writing a book.
So you need to be able to ask your questions. Yeah. And if you feel like you can't ask that question, then you need to kind of reevaluate that circumstance.
So maybe you have delivered 3 out of 4 of my babies, and Adeline's still in trouble for coming
That's
early.
right. She's spicy.
She's
we talked
spicy.
about this.
I know. I was like, but you could have been part of Team Spicy.
Right?
But you are the person that I feel the most comfortable with talking about absolutely everything in my life. And obviously this is an area of expertise for you, but could people also be having these conversations with their primary care doctor?
Absolutely.
Okay. Or where else are people looking?
They're looking everywhere, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
Therapists.
Okay. Yeah.
Primary cares.
Okay.
And then you also know, as you see in the social media, there are a lot of freestanding other offices and clinics that are solely specific to this, where they are just dealing with women's health and women's health care.
Yeah.
And they're all out there. Some are medically trained, some are naturopathic doctors, some are just doing their own services, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
So you just have to find that person that you feel that you're connected to, that you're feeling you're getting honest answers from, and can make a joint decision and plan.
I love that. It almost makes me feel like I want to tell women, don't wait until you're teary.
Right.
Because you might have to look around for a little while until kiss the wrong frogs for a little bit. Not that people don't mean well, it just might not be the right fit. And this is a long-term conversation, to your point.
It is. This is not a one-time event.
No.
This is, I tell people, I expect a MyChart message or a phone call, feedback to say, I'm doing great, or still sucks, I need some help in this department.
Yeah.
It's a continuation of the story. It's not just a one-time event.
Yeah.
So you have to have that relationship that you can be like, okay, we fixed this problem, we have that problem.
Yeah.
And keep working as a tandem team.
Absolutely. So I feel like you may start at your primary care doctor might be a lovely, wonderful, very effective primary care doctor, but might not be the right person for this conversation. And you might have to try it to realize that it doesn't work. It might be literally like dating. To be like, you're good, not great.
Yes, exactly.
In this particular instance.
Exactly.
So maybe don't wait until you're desperate.
Yes.
So that you can find someone that feels like the right fit for this.
Right.
I think that, because you know how it is with women. We're just we wait until
the 11th inning.
Yeah.
We're spiraling. It's coming undone at the hinges.
Yes.
We need help yesterday.
And then it's so hard to make good decisions from
when
that
you
place.
are in that mental state.
You're desperate.
Right.
That's where we're ordering things off Instagram for the pills that say that we're going to lose all our belly bloat in 9 days at 3 o'clock in the morning because we can't sleep.
Yes. And the
reality
reality is they needed help yesterday, and I'm going to tell them it's going to take about a month.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I have to do this another month? Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay.
Long-term benefits, though.
We got to get here. We have to,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be an overnight sensation.
Yeah.
So.
But, I mean, just to know that, what is it, Mrs. Doubtfire? Help is on the way! That movie's so good.
So good.
But just to know that there really is genuine help out there, and to, I feel so hopeful after this conversation. Yes. Okay, so...
There are lots of choices,
Yeah.
lots of options, lots of positives that come with it.
Yeah.
Hormones have gotten a bad rap for many, many decades.
Yeah.
What we now know is they're good for our heart, they're good for our bones, they're good for our mental health and dementia.
Yeah.
There are lots of positives here.
Yeah.
If we want to choose that route.
I love that. Don't go hating on your body.
Right.
Also, remember what your body can do or did.
Right.
You are a superhuman.
Absolutely.
So, let's just keep supporting this body that has done great things for you.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Is there anything that we haven't covered? Anything that you're I hear this.
Girl, we could have a decade of conversations.
Don't you tell me, because I will make this a regular series.
We could transition this into so many things. This is truly a never-ending discussion.
Yeah.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
This is a tiny little information slot.
Yeah.
And the reality is it's going to continue. It's going to be a continuum. We could talk for days.
Okay. I would love that.
Yeah, I know. Get our PJs.
Right, I know. Oh my God, yes. We're going to make this into a series. And honestly, we might have to if that's really what serves women. And because it really is, there's so much to it.
So much. And one question leads to the next question. And for one person it's this, and for the next person it's that.
Yeah.
And it just deviates into such a huge conversation that is important.
Yeah.
It needs addressed.
Absolutely. It's so interesting. I think I said this to you before we were recording, but I can't remember. So for everyone listening, if I already said it, my bad. But I put an Instagram like poll box up to be like, okay, I'm going to talk about perimenopause. This is anytime I'm like, what episode do you want? Everyone says perimenopause. So then I was like, what do you want to hear? And every single person wrote back everything.
Like, I need to know everything.
That is how confused and just like distraught women are. So
and it's overwhelming.
It is.
And it's so much.
Yeah.
So, and there's no right way to approach it.
Right.
I think that's the other thing. Women want, just tell me what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have so much to do. Tell me what I should do here. Well, there are lots of ways. There's no perfect puzzle piece. So, so it's really a matter of what's going to benefit that individual person and what needs to be the priority for them.
You know, I really am leaving this conversation though feeling like women can absolutely be in the driver's seat.
Absolutely.
You are not like a victim to your hormones changing. Like you said, hormones are there for a reason and have a ton of benefit. And when you find the right doctor, you can start to stabilize over time. And then you just continue to sort of manage symptoms in your life, which is just like any other part of life.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right.
It all comes and goes.
But they are the judge of the symptoms and
Yeah.
the severity of that symptom.
Yeah.
No one else gets that choice. No two people get to say, oh, they weren't that bad.
Right.
Well, maybe for that person they weren't, but for the next person they are.
Right.
And the reality is as long as they can express and communicate that, they need to be heard, not minimized. So.
Again,
Yeah.
I know, right? Nobody wants that topic. Yeah, this has been absolutely amazing. I think for everyone listening, I'm sure just share this with all women age 35 and older. I think this gives so much hope and so much empowerment and so much, I know this is truly tip of the iceberg, but from like a macro perspective, so much clarity on how to proceed forward, what your options are, and certainly to know that you are not alone. You just have to walk into a Starbucks and look for anyone over 35 and we're all in this together.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you are not losing it. You are not, it's not like you should be able to outrun this one.
Right.
This is, again, another chemical thing like a heart disease or a broken bone, but it is absolutely addressable.
Absolutely.
I love this.
Yes.
Thank you, Sarah. You are the absolute best.
Oh, so real. Love you.
It was so surreal to be like, here are my children that you delivered.
I know.
Isn't that unbelievable?
And as I look up to your
to-
oldest,
I know.
was like, wow.
It
Okay.
was so tall.
14.
Yes.
That was a fun night.
That was honestly the
So
funnest.
fun.
The funnest.
You laughed out a baby.
I laughed out a baby. I was like, everyone should have a baby. It was so fun.
What are you talking about? This is hard.
I know.
Right?
And then Adeline comes and had like a full emergency. I was
God
like,
love
okay,
her.
so there's a spectrum.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the good old twins.
I know.
The surprises.
The surprises.
I know.
Oh my God.
Seems like yesterday.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Oh, it's the absolute best.
Yeah.
Truly.
It really is.
You are a magical person.
Oh.
And like anyone who knows you feels lucky to know you, to either be cared for by you or to just be in your orbit. So thank you for who you are and all the amazing things that you do in this world.
Well, thank you. You've
Yeah.
given me a big gift. Truly.
Oh, well, that makes me feel so good. I can't wait for more of these.
Okay.
I was like, I've signed you up for so many of these.
I love it.
Yes, but everyone, absolutely, like, go talk to your doctors, go talk to your friends, know that you're going to be okay, that this is totally manageable, and that we've got this.
We can do this.
We can do this.
Yeah.
You say that every time I talk to you, like, we can do this.
We can do this.
We can do this.
We got it.
You do.
And we have a plan.
Always.
It's always the plan.
Always the plan. All right, you guys. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll catch you next time. I hope you walked away from this conversation feeling more grounded, more empowered, and a lot less alone. Perimenopause isn't something we need to dread. It's something we deserve to understand, and it really is within our control. I hope you realize that it's all about finding the right doctor. There are plenty of things that are in your control, and there are plenty of options out there to help you feel better. I don't know about you, but I feel a lot more hopeful and a lot more peaceful about everything that my body is going through, and I certainly know that I'm not alone. So if you are currently palpitating and feel like your metabolism is shot and are deeply exhausted at 4 o'clock, I promise you there is hope out there for you, especially after listening to this conversation. I know there's hope out there for all of us. So keep going, go call your doctor, make an appointment, and take your health into your own hands. You've totally got this.
Well, that's the end of this episode, but promise me, you won't stop here with whatever it is you're feeling or dreaming about. I hope you leave today feeling empowered to live life just as you see fit. If this podcast was helpful to you, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. I genuinely just want to help women live the life they dream about. So if this type of content tracks with you, subscribe to this podcast or visit our website, writeyourownsstory.co, to download digital courses or to grab a journal and a mug to just dream in and dream with. It's your life, lady. Do you. And just remember, I'm rooting for you and you've totally got this.